And welcome back to the Lantern Courts videos. And we are again, it's a brave, I'm going to be using this line for a little while, but it's a brave new world. I'm very tiny in the corner of the screen, and I have information on the big screen. It is wonderful. Despite the fact that I suck at editing, I am able to give you more in terms of content now, at least on some minor level, and that is something. So we're on the Lantern Court videos right now, and we are doing Sokka from Avatar: Last Airbender. I've been kind of going with the theme of the Avatar: Last Airbender characters, the core four, Zuko, Aang, Katara, and Sokka, and I decided to add Iroh and Azula as they played big parts in the overall series as a whole. So with Sokka, right at the bat, I want to just start off by saying, I want to have a picture of Sokka, but I couldn't find one big enough to really fit on the screen. So just note that, you should. I'm assuming you know what Sokka looks like. I mean, I have it in the thumbnail, but just in case. But yes. So obviously, if you haven't watched my Lantern Course videos before, basically I go with the concept of what is the most likely core these guys can belong to. What is the least likely core? Like what the nope cores, as I like to call them. There's just like there's no way they can fit in these Lantern Corps. Or the possible, but there's better option corps, the maybes or the unlikelies or the possibles. So right off the bat, I always go with the cores that just nope, that you can't qualify for. And right off the bat, Black Lantern Corps are a big one. There's no way Sokka qualified to be in a Black Lantern Corps. He is neither. Well, okay. Should note that I'm using at the end of the original series Sokka, not Legend of Korra Sokka, who is in fact dead. So if we were going Legend of Korra Sokka, then yes, he absolutely would be a Black Lantern. But we're going by the end of the original series. He's fully alive. He's never died, never been brought back to life. So no, Sokka cannot be a Black Lantern. I'll also say this. I don't think he can be a White Lantern either. Now, generally speaking, one of the biggest requirements for being a White Lantern is you need to be alive. White Lantern Corps are the corpse of life. They are derived from the ability of being a living being, protecting life, embracing life, feeling alive. Ultimately, though, they are not. They're not violent Lantern Corps per se. They have literally the power of a god, but they are not they're not one that you would see go out and kill people necessarily. That's not to say they wouldn't, but they are first and foremost designed to protect life and, nurture life, grow, and keep life going. Now, again, one of the biggest requirements is simply to be alive, but to embrace every other aspect of that. And here's the thing. I actually don't think Sokka can really qualify for that. The reason for that is Sokka, among any of the others in the group, really didn't have any qualms about killing. In fact, Sokka actually took a couple lives in this series, if you remember. He's the one who ultimately ended, as he affectionately, Sparky Boom Man, Combustion Man. He's the one who ultimately ended that dude. He took that dude's life. He had no hesitation about demonstrating to Aang how to kill the Fire Lord. And he probably would have done it, too, if he'd had the power and the chance to do it. So his willingness to take a life, granted for the greater good of everything, I really can't count him for the White Lantern Corps. So White Lantern Corps is a no-go for me in terms of what he could qualify for. And same for the Blue Lantern Corps. Now, this one's a bit more of you could make an argument he could belong into that corp kind of conversation. And the reason for that is, near the end of the series, you could make an argument that he's definitely, put his faith in Aang, hope in Aang, if you will, and faith in others. Definitely can make that argument. But the problem is the very nature of Sokka is a very realistic, pessimistic kind of guy. A perfect example is the fortune teller Yaga? Fortune teller Yaga, was that her name? I know it's kind of like Baba Yaga. I get that. That's why I was fortune teller Baba in Dragon Ball. And anyway, Madame Wu, that was it. It was Madame Wu, I believe. Anyway, the fortune teller episode. He was constantly trying to explain to people why your faith in this woman is doesn't need to be this way. There's rational explanations for this. A kind of pessimistic way of viewing things, a kind of very literal way of viewing the world. So I can't really say that I can't really say that. Yeah, he could qualify for it because he's like that throughout the entire series, putting some things down, some people down, putting some people down, just generally not putting his. And it's not like he didn't believe in the spiritual or the supernatural because he fully acknowledged Aang and everything he does. In the what was it? The swamp episode where they go through the swamp and he's able to rationalize freak weather patterns and everything else going on. It's like, but what about my vision? That's Avatar stuff. That doesn't count. It's not like he ignores the fact that some of this is real. It's just he's a very logically driven person in that regard. And I think that does get in the way of him becoming a true Blue Lantern. That's interesting. A true Blue Lantern. That's an interesting way of putting it. So I can't put him in Lantern Corps of Hope as well. Likewise, I wouldn't put him in the Orange Lantern Corps either. Now, the reason I wouldn't put him in the Orange Lantern... Wow, that's a sentence. The reason I wouldn't put him in the Orange Lantern Corps is because Sokka can be selfish. But it's no more selfish than I think. I think he's supposed to be... He's the older brother. I think he's supposed to be 16 or 17, one of the two. He's the older brother, I know that. He's no more selfish than any other guy his age. Like when he wants to eat Momo. He's very much after Momo to eat Momo initially when they find him. But at the same time, he says, I was joking on that. When he's basically trapped in that hole in season 2 of Top Teaching Aang Earthbending. He's talking to whatever great lords or whatever gods or whatever exist in the world. And it's like, I got meat and sarcasm. That's all I got. And then he gets set free. Like, oh, man, guys, got any meat? I'm starving. So, yeah, I could definitely see someone making a little bit of an argument for avarice, but really that's just kind of who he is. And just being like that doesn't qualify you in general for being an Orange Lantern. You need to have a lot more avarice in your heart and need to have it be your core trait. And then have that be the case. Than what you see from Sokka. So I can't qualify for the Orange Lantern Corps either. And again, unfortunately, I'll let that one load a bit. There we go. Unfortunately, I can't qualify him for the Indigo Corps as well. Sokka's a very odd case where he can't qualify for a lot of... He's a very unique personality in that regard because he can't qualify for a lot of the corps overall. The Indigo tribe is the tribe of compassion. You have the ability to feel great compassion. You either need to be able to feel great compassion, or you need to be able to you need to be completely 100% compassionless. That way it can instill compassion in you. Sokka's neither of those. Now Sokka definitely isn't without compassion. We know he is with compassion towards Aang, towards Katara, towards even Zuko. But at the same time, he can be so lack of trusting towards people. Like, for instance, with Jet when he first met him. Absolutely, he didn't have compassion toward... I mean, he had compassion, but he was also very wary of Jet, and for legitimate reasons. He didn't have compassion towards Azula, despite the fact he had compassion towards Zuko. He didn't have compassion towards the firebenders that took his mother. So he didn't have compassion, honestly, towards the firebenders who imprisoned his father or anything like that. So he's definitely not without compassion, but he also, because he's grown up in a world where an oppressive kingdom has ruled for a while, and he's had to go to war several times. He's a guy who's jaded, and therefore, to some degree, and therefore makes sense why he is just not 100% trusting or full of compassion. He isn't like his sister in that regard. So I can't say I'd go with that either. And again, likewise, right now I'm going through basically all the ones that he can't qualify for. It's pretty much the majority of them. The Red Lantern Corps is a power of rage. You have great rage in your heart. You belong to the Red Lantern Corps, as it says right there in the quote. You have to be basically fueled by anger and rage and hatred. Sokka's not. Sokka gets mad. In fact, Sokka has. I was about to say Sakura. That is a different thing entirely. Sokka definitely has a little bit of a temper on him, but it's more just kind of hot-headed stubbornness in many ways than it is actual rage. Very rarely has he ever shown like true rage. Like when Azula mentioned that she had Suki captive. He wanted to know where she was, so he basically held her, at blade point. Azula wasn't scared at all of him, which will lead us into Yellow Lanterns in just a second. When that guy, talking about Yue, talking about, he's engaged to marry her, but, he doesn't love her or anything like that. He got pissed off at him. Not really true rage, but still. There are definitely moments where Sokka definitely goes into a rage of some kind. But ultimately, I can't say it's a very, I can't say it's not something that drives him. It's just not something that's with him all the time. He's not really an angry person. He may hold some resentment of some kind in some way, but he's not an angry person. He's just not. So it's not something that he holds deep within his heart or anything like that. So no, he may hold on to some grief, definitely over his mother, may hold on to some anger or the Fire Nation, but it's not something that fuels him. It's not something that drives him. So I can't qualify him for the Red Lantern Corps. Likewise, I can't qualify him for the Yellow Lantern Corps either. It's just a whole day of note for Sokka. Sorry, man. Again, it reads it right there. You have the ability to instill great fear. Welcome to the Sinestro Course. It's the Lantern Corps of Fear. You need to be able to instill great fear, not just of maybe one person, although that can help, but in like the vast majority, majority of people you meet need to be afraid of you on some level, or you need to be able to go out and scare people. Now, as the series went on, people took Sokka seriously as a threat. Don't get me wrong. Like Azula, like when they fought in the Boiling Rock, definitely didn't take him lightly because you saw he had a blade and he was relatively skilled with it at that point too. Man, I wish he did keep the meteor sword. Did they? I only watched some of Korra. Did we ever find out if he found that thing? I don't know. But he's definitely someone who wants to be taken seriously. That's the thing. He wants to be taken seriously, and people take him seriously. They just aren't afraid of him. His actual presence isn't something that scares people. Even if he goes out of his way to try to scare someone, maybe he can scare like a low-level soldier or something, but he can't. He's not someone who just by his presence or being there or trying a little intimidates someone very much. Azula was a perfect example of that. Azula, while being semi-psychotic, I think on some level was afraid of someone like the Avatar or maybe Iroh or her father, definitely. But no, she wasn't afraid of Sokka. Most of the Fire Nation soldiers aren't afraid of Sokka when they go up against him, but he still kicks their butt. So it's not that Sokka's not capable and not capable of being taken seriously. It's the fact that no one's afraid of Sokka when you live in a world full of benders. So there's that. So unfortunately, yeah, he's just not someone who's very afraid. Now, on to the two cores that, of course, I think are the most likely. Star Sapphires, the Violet Lantern Core of Love. You have great love in your heart. Welcome to Star Sapphires. Now, this is interesting for Sokka because this is where Sokka actually wins out over everyone else in Avatar. He's had the most relationships in Avatar. Think about that for a second. And you're thinking, well, wait, what about Zuko? Nope, just May. What about that date he went on? That was a date. It wasn't a relationship. Okay, what about Aang? Just Katara. What about Toph? We don't even know how many relationships she had. And we're talking about just the series of Avatar: The Last Airbender, not Legend of Korra. Well, what about Katara? It's like, nope, that was just Aang and Katara. Then you have to stop and think. Holy crap! Yeah, Sokka, for all of, the stuff he lacks in terms of his abilities, had the most relationships out of anyone in the Avatar series. And for the record, we don't know how long they were at the North Pole, but we know it was a little while because it took a while for Aang and Katara to really master their water bending. I'm going to say it was at least a few weeks. They never truly say how long they'd been there. But first real relationship was Yue, the princess. And very much it was someone that he really cared for, probably loved. And he lost, but he still knows she's out there in many ways, remembers her, loves her, and probably carries her in his heart. And then Suki. Now, it's heavily implied that he and Suki ended up getting married and did have kids together. So, and it's clear they're together by the end of the series. So I do believe that Sokka does carry great love in his heart. I do. He also loves his sister. He loves Aang like as a brother. You know, it's because of the family relationship. So I think love is actually something that could definitely lean more towards Sokka's wheelhouse. But that being said, is it the emotion, if you will, that dominates more than anything else? Because frankly, again, I've never understood. Is greed really, as avarice, really an emotion? Is hope or will really an emotion? Whatever, it's all good. They say it is, so we're gonna do it. Honestly, I do think it's actually the Green Lantern Corps that best suits Sokka. And the reason I say this is, yes, Sakura has doubts in him. Absolutely. He can be afraid at points. Is he a coward? No. Can he be spooked? Sure. But the ability, as they say right here, to qualify for Green Lantern Corps is A, have great willpower, but B, to overcome great fear. And that's what Sokka's done this whole time when you really break it down. Sorry, ads. There we go. When you really break it down, is that he's had to live in a world where he's pretty much the lesser in this world. He's not a bender. And for a while, he wasn't that great a warrior. He definitely improved as the series went on, but he wasn't that great of a warrior. He could hold his own, but he wasn't that skilled. He later rather deeply improved and became a pretty formidable fighter. Enough that a lot of individuals like Zuko, even Azula, Ty Lee, had to take him more seriously. And because of that, he persevered and made himself better through other means. And he never stopped trying to improve or trying to be a part of the group in his own way, in his own methods. And I think that really helps him out in being a Green Lantern. Again, the ability to overcome fear is a big thing. And I think Sokka does it. Again, Sokka can be afraid. But remember, it says great fear. Now, it's not just you have to be afraid. You have to overcome great fear. Even a Green Lantern can get scared. But that doesn't mean they'll lose their lanternry. They have to be scared. Like, oh my God, Cthulhu has risen. They have to be that kind of scared. And even then, if you can overcome that great fear, that just makes your will even stronger. That's why Hal Jordan is considered to be one of the best Green Lanterns, is because he got possessed by Parallax, the embodiment of fear and the emotional spectrum. And he was able to overcome that. And it claim, or it's implied, that because he actually experienced a true fear, it made his will all the more stronger. So I think Sokka could easily be, I think this is the most likely core for him, that the Green Lanterns would fit Sokka the best. And I think really, the only thing that would really kind of hold Sokka back ultimately from them is that the Green Lantern Corps have a kind of no-kill rule, because they're pretty much beat cops. So while he could qualify, I don't know if this would be the corps that he would be able to last in. If he couldn't last in this corps, then the secondary option I do believe would be the Star Sapphires, the Lantern Corps of Love. But ultimately, it is, I don't know. Ultimately, it is what it is. But thank you for watching. That's my thoughts on that. I do believe Green is the most likely candidate for Sokka to be a part of. But what do you think? Put in the comments below. Let me know. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, though. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Superior, Magic, What If. Anything to do with the channel, put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. So I'll be back a little while for who would win. As I said, this new format I'm using, it's going to be relegated to reaction videos, the Lantern Corps videos, Magic videos, Pokemon videos, those kind of things. The what ifs and the who would wins for right now are going to stay the same with me in front of the camera. Same with the reviews. There's no point in me doing a review like this. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you folks next time. Have a good one.